Okay, B'siyata Dishmaya. We are going to be learning in the book Emunah and Bitachon by Rabbi David Chaya Bochatzera. We're a part of the book that talks about Emunatcha Balelot, having Emunah, having faith in Hashem in the hard times in life. The last class we did was about Sarah Imenu and the power of Sarah. And now we're going to look at a class that's called Hebitu El Avraham Avichem. Take a good look at Avraham, your forefather. בכל הקשיים העוברים על האדם בעולם הזה, יש לו לאדם להתחזק שלא לבעוד בייסורים. Anything that a person is going through in this world, any hardships that a person is going through, you have to strengthen yourself to not kick the yisurim, not to kick the hardships that you're having, not to... רק יחדיר בליבו שכל מה שעושה עמו השם לטובה הוא עושה. Don't fight the hardships you're going through. Just know that everything Hashem is doing to you, He's doing it for your good. ויקבל את דברים באהבה גמורה וברצון שלם. Receive everything with love, with complete love, and with a full will. כי הכל הוא טוב וחסד מאת הבורא. Everything is good and love from the Creator. ואף שכרת נראה הדבר כאינו טוב, even though right now the thing looks like it's not good. לאחר זמן יתברר שכל ההנהגה עמו הייתה לטובה. After a while it becomes very clear that everything Hashem did to you, all the paths He led you down, they were all for the good. הבט וראה פירוש שפירש במשמרת אלעזר. There's a book called, it's from Reb Shaul Barach, Shari Tzion, and there is משמרת אלעזר. And he says like this on Parashat Dvarim, Zochor Yomot Olam, Binu Shnot Dor Vador. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu says in Parashat Azinu, the last speech of Moshe Rabbeinu, he says, remember the days of old, Binu Shnot Dor Vador. Build and understand from generation to generation. When I look today on what happened in previous generations, נבין שמה שהיה נראה לעיניהם כדברים רעים וקשים מתגלה כיום כי לטובה היו מאיתו יתברך. Things that in their generation seemed in their eyes as very, very hard decrees and horrible things that went on, now we're able to look back and see how Hashem was, right? Like we just talked about the Shoah in the previous class, the Holocaust. What's the immediate outcome of the Holocaust? 4 million Jews coming to the land of Israel, starting to learn Torah in the land of Israel, starting to build up the land of Israel. We can only say that. The people during the Holocaust, we can't say it. We could never say it to them, right? But with time, you always see, and in our own personal lives, we have this. We went through hardships growing up. We went through hardships, right, becoming adults. A year, 6 months down the path, you look back and you're like, wow, that was complete chesed of Hashem. Thank God He made that person break up with me. Thank God I lost that business. Thank God that car, you know? Whatever it is, we're able to connect the dots. V'chen sha'al avicha. The pasuk continues and says, "Sha'al avicha," ask your father, ask your father about the hardships he went through. Hanikraim v'yagedcha. It's called v'yagedcha. Aged, lahagid, right? Is a strong word. Ki em kshayim lo ki gidim. They're hard like gidim. They're hard like you call it gid? Gid anasheh. Thing that nerves, like gidim, sinews, nerves, all the things in your body, right? So it's like hard, like those strands inside your body of tendons, ligaments and tendons, right? All of those things. So it's, what does the pasuk say again? The pasuk says, Zechor yomot olam binu shnot dor vador. Remember the days of the world. Remember that there's a history, right? Generation after generation. And then the pasuk continues and says, She'al avicha v'yagedcha. Ask your father and he will tell you. Meaning, ask your father about the hardships he went through and how he got through them. And he will tell you, v'yagedcha, those are the hard things he went through. She'tedaber al kach im zekenecha. When you talk to zekenecha, after that it says, right, your father says, go ask your grandfather. In the pasuk it says that. You ask your father and your father says, ask your grandfather. The pshat there is that Moshe Rabbeinu is saying the father's already going to lose his way. He's not going to be able to tell you. So you have to go back to ask the elders, right? But here we're giving it a different perush. He says, Zekenecha azai ve'yomu lach, shema shenira לאביך קשה, כי גידים אינו אלא אמירה רכה. כי הזקנים שכבר ראו מעט יותר בימי חייהם יודעים שגם מה שנראה היום כדבר רע, יתברר במרוצת הזמן שהוא לטובה. Let's understand this all now. Break it down outside of the book. Moshe Rabbeinu comes and says, remember the days of old. Remember, generation after generation. Go ask your father. What is go ask your father? Ask your father about the hardships that he went through. V'yagedcha. He's going to tell you it's gidim. It's hard. I went through a lot of hardships. Zekenecha. If you go to your grandfather, though, your grandparents, and you ask them, they're going to say, listen, what your father is saying, it's cute, but with my experience in life, I know to tell you that hardship wasn't really a bad thing. You're going to see soon how it's for the good. Because they have the age, they have the experience, the life experience to be able to tell you, I've seen life. Usually from hard things like this and bad things that your father is telling you, his challenges, you're going to see how that was all what made him into a man. It was the chesed of Hashem the whole entire time. With time, sometimes that's all we need, right? Time heals. It's a saying that they have, right? Sometimes that's all we need is just a little bit of time to be able to look back and say, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for making all of that craziness, because that was exactly what I needed. I can see now all of the chesed that had led me to this point. Rabbi David said a few teachings ago in this book, we have to get to a level of bitachon that if we knew what the situation we're going through was doing to us, we would pick it ourselves. We would have chosen ourselves to go through the hardships that Hashem puts us through. If we only knew, we would tell Hashem, please, can you do this crazy Holocaust to me? Crazy thing to say, right? But en malasot. As a nation, we have bitachon in Hashem, that for sure was for the good and the rectification of the world and the nation. We would have picked it ourselves. Crazy thing to say. בכלל זקניך הוא האדם הגדול בענקים, אבי אומותינו אברהם אבינו עליו השלום. When it says go ask your elders, your grandfather, the best grandfather we all have ever is Avraham Avinu. Abraham, our forefather. אשר כל מגמתו הייתה להנחיל את האמונה בהשם לדורותיו אחריו. His whole entire job was to instill Emunah in his children afterwards, for generations and generations. All Avraham wanted to do was to bring people into this world that would stay connected to Hashem. And he says, כי ידעתיו למען אשר יצווה את בניו ואת ביתו אחריו. Hashem says, I know that he is going to command his children and his house after him. Hashem says, I know about Avraham. Avraham, it's different. I've had Shem, I've had Noach, I've had all these other people. Avraham, he's going to make this happen. It's going to be a tzivui, it's going to be a commandment. This is what I expect my children to do. This is what my people of my house, this is what we do. We connect to Hashem. שלנו של מורה הדורות, הרמב"ם עליו השלום says, שתכלית כוונתם הייתה בכל מעשים מהם להתקרב אל השם יתברך קרבה גדול. Their whole entire action, everything that the Avot did, everything that their forefathers did, their whole entire intention was to come closer to Hashem. Kirva gadol, big connection. כי תכלית כוונתם כל ימי חייהם להמציא אומה שתדע השם ותעבדהו. Right? Their whole entire purpose of their intention, their whole entire life was to create a nation that will know of Hashem and will serve Him. All the forefathers, that's what they were doing. כי ידעתיו למען אשר יצווה את בניו ואת ביתו אחריו. עד כאן דבריו. Up until here's the words of the Rambam. ולימוד גדול יש לנו ללמוד מאברהם אבינו. עליו השלום. We can learn a lot from Avraham Avinu. It says in Noam Megidim, פרשת חיי שרה, ואברהם זקן בא בימים. Avraham was old and he came with days. שאף שאברהם אבינו עליו השלום נסע ב10 ניסיונות והיו לו זמנים ומצבים קשים, even though Avraham Avinu went through 10 different tests and he had a very hard life, hard tests, ובכולם התפלל להשם יתברך שיזכה לעמוד בכולם. Every test he had, he prayed to Hashem, give me the merit to stand through this, to get through this. כפי שהעידו עליו במשנה, like it says in the Mishnah, 10 ניסיונות נתנסה אברהם אבינו ועמד בכולם. Avraham Avinu went through 10 tests and he stood through all of them. He went through all of them. אך שהגיע לימי הזקנה שדעתו נתיישבה עליו, נאמר בו, בא בימים. When he got to an old age and his consciousness settled in him, right? Then he had this בא בימים. Avram's coming with days. שיום הוא מלשון בהירות. Day is clarity. Day means clarity. Avram came with his days, he came with clarity. He understood all of these tests that he went through. Michrach kayom. Rashi says, what's michrach kayom? Kayom shu baru, like the day that's clear. Right? Day means clarity. And that's why this portion of the book is called Ve'emunatcha balelot. Your emunah in the night times. Your emunah, when do I have to have emunah? When I don't have dat, when I don't have clarity, that's when I need to have loyalty and emunah in Hashem. That's only at nighttime. Nighttime is the lack of clarity. What's clarity? Daytime. He understood that everything that happened to him, V'Hashem berach et Avraham bakol. Right? V'Avraham zaken bayamim, V'Adonai berach et Avraham bakol. The rest of the pasuk is, and Hashem blessed Avram with everything. Shaya l'tova v'livracha. Everything he did was for good, was for bracha. And even the hard things that he went through, hayu tovim ve'od nosaf alehem shayu achana letov o lezaro lechol adorot. Not only were they good for him, they were a preparation for good to come for his generations that will come after him. Last little paragraphs. We see this clearly. This is how it was for Avraham Avinu. All the tests he went through in his days of his life, that they appeared very hard, very tense. Really, they were good for generations and generations. It was preparing the world for the rest that needed to come. Avraham had to go through it. Someone has to break the field to plant the seed that's going to feed people for hundreds of years. Right? Someone has to do that first step. Someone has to take it upon themselves to move to the land of Israel and be uncomfortable, so that the children after them will already be more comfortable. Right? Someone has to leave America. Someone has to do it. From this, all of Am Yisrael receive shefa and bracha from every test that they go through. Like we see, in the last test of Abraham was the Akedah, right? Sacrificing his son. He fought his whole entire life against Avodah Zarah. Hashem gets to him to a point. Now I need you to do something foreign. Go get your son and bring him to me. Avodah Zarah, l'kol davar, even if it's to Hashem. It's Zarah. Hashem did, right? We're fighting this the whole entire life. Now you finally gave me a son. 30 years old. I have to go kill him? You didn't even get married yet. We haven't had the child. What happened then? Lama nikret sakin ma'achelet. Chazal teach us, right? When Avraham went to go grab the knife, it doesn't say sakin, it doesn't say cherev, it doesn't say knife, it doesn't say sword. It says ma'achelet, the thing that allows you to eat. Ma'achelet. This lechalot, to erase, to annihilate. Why ma'achelet? כל אכילות שישראל אוכלים בעולם הזה אינם אוכלים אלא בזכות אותה המאכלת. Anytime you eat food in this world as a Jew, you're only able to eat that food because of that knife. That knife in the Akedah. That hardship that what Avraham Avinu went through allows us to open our mouths and to even eat. It's a hardship that was a preparation for generations. And how much does a Jew do by way of eating? What is Kiddush? Maharal says you're a partner in creation. What is a motzi? Shefa, lechem apanim coming down. The eating of Shabbat, Rabbi Natan says, is kulo elokut, all godliness, is irat shamayim. Every bite of food on Shabbat is irat shamayim. How much does a Jew do with eating? But every single bite you ever take is only because Avraham picked up that knife. ועוד איתה שבמעשיו עם המלאכים זכו בניו בהיותם במדבר, שאמרו בגמרא שכל מה שעשה אברהם למלאכי השרת בעצמו עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא לבניו בעצמו. Everything Avraham did when the angels came to visit him, right? He ran to go get the food. He did this, he washed their feet. He did everything, right? To prepare them food, send them off, escort them out. All the things that Avraham Avinu did with those angels, by himself, he did it. Not with slaves, not with servants. He did it. Hashem himself did it for his children in the desert. וכל מה שעשה אברהם אבינו על ידי שליח, עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא לבניו על ידי שליח. Anything Avraham did by way of a messenger, Hashem did it by way of a messenger. מכאן מדויק שלא רק בניסיון העקדה זכו לטובה ולברכה לדורות. Not only, we see here, not only from the עקדה did we merit to get a good blessing for generations, רק מכל ניסיון ופעולה בפני עצמה זכו כנגדה לטובה וברכה. Every test, every movement, every action that they did, getting up to feed a guest, everything that the forefathers did was a siman bracha and opening gates for us, Am Yisrael. And like we see when Sarah goes down to Mitzrayim, it says in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, אותו הלילה שנלקחה שרה אימנו לבית פרעה ליל יום טוב הפסח היה. The same night that Sarah was taken to the house of Pharaoh when they went down to Egypt, that was Leila Pesach. That was Leila Seder. She ended up in Pharaoh's house. Sarah Imenu, the Shekhinah, ended up inside Pharaoh's house on Leila Seder. והביא הקדוש ברוך הוא על פרעה ועל ביתו נגעים גדולים להודיע שכך הוא עתיד להכות את עם ארצו. What happened in that story? Why didn't Pharaoh have his way with Sarah? Because everyone in the house got sick. There was makot in the house. There was plagues in the house. Everyone got sick. Boils, diarrhea, all these horrible things that were happening. No one could touch this woman. Not even Pharaoh. Why? Hashem was telling him, in the future, the same thing's going to happen in your land. The actions of the forefathers is a sign what's going to be for the children. So too, like in the merit of all of the tests that Avraham Avinu and Sarah Imenu went through, and brought down Shefa and Bracha, כך הם עצמם בכל הסבל שעבר עליהם בהיותם במצרים ועבדום ועינו אותם. אחר כך אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא ואחרי כן יצאו ברכוש גדול. Afterwards they're going to come out with big money, big wealth out of מצרים. וכן הוא בכל אדם כשעובר עליו דבר מה? סוף שתצמח ממנו הישועה ויצא ברכוש גדול. Anything you're going through, it's from that thing that the salvation is going to come out. That the rechush gadol, you're going to come out with big property, with big acquisitions, with big knowledge, with big experience, with big tools to help you in life. From that thing itself. From that thing. We have to learn from this. We are like Avraham. We're his child, we're like the father. Right? He went through tests. Never complained, just turned to Hashem and said, Hashem, help me get through this. And the outcome was always a rechush gadol. Big wealth, big wealth, big wealth, big wealth. And wealth is not always money. Right? Wealth is just bracha, siman tova, good signs for you. When we have tests in life, we have to know we have to push forward. And when we push forward, not only are we helping ourselves to get through with Hashem's help, but we could even be changing the face of the whole entire world and definitely our children. We talked about this many times, I'd love to bring it up. Epigenetics. Epigenetics is this thing in science that they discovered in the past few years, that essentially when you work on your anger, you pass down to your children more rectified traits of anger in your genes, physically, in your DNA. This is talked about for a long time. Maaseh avot, siman lebanim. We've been saying this for 3,000 years. The action of the forefathers is a sign of what's going to be with the children. Right? You start to invest in yourself and work on yourself before you have children. So when that seed leaves your brain and becomes a seed that goes inside to fertilize an egg, it's going to be carrying already fixed midot, or better midot. And now your son and your daughter come into the world on a higher level, able to continue that work even further and further until you get to Geulah Shlema. Amen. Ken Yiratzon.